A few days ago, we explored China's astonishing technological rise. But today we go a step further. Is China winning the technological war against the United States? Stay until the end because this analysis not only uncovers hard figures and real-world examples, but also reveals the strategic maneuvers, unexpected victories, and looming challenges that will define the global order in the coming years. If you want to understand how these two superpowers are vying for the future, subscribe to Global Finance 360 for the best deep dives in economy, tech, and geopolitics. Historical context. Since the 1980s, the United States dominated the global tech sector thanks to Silicon Valley's startup ecosystem, top universities, and venture capital funding. China, by contrast, emerged as the world's factory, replicating designs and scaling up production. But in the last decade, that dynamic has shifted dramatically. The US still leads in foundational research, yet China has closed the gap at an astonishing pace in hardware manufacturing, telecommunications rollout, and mass deployment. Throughout this video, we'll compare who holds the edge in each arena, which strategic levers they're pulling, and what scenarios to expect through 2030. 1. Semiconductors. US and allies command the most advanced chip designs. Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA, backed by MIT and Stanford Research, lead at the 5 nanometers and 3 nanometers nodes. China has invested over $150 billion in domestic fabrication facilities and talent recruitment under its 2014 National Integrated Circuit Plan. SMIC, its flagship foundry, reached 7 nanometers production despite U.S. export restrictions on EUV lithography tools. Immediate outlook. The U.S. controls the metrology chain, ASML's EUV machines, but China has developed alternative lithography methods and steadily improved 14 nanometers and 7 nanometers processes, more than sufficient for AI clusters and 5G base stations. U.S. legislative response. The CHIPS and Science Act boosts domestic production with subsidies and R&D grants. Yet Chinese fabs continue scaling rapidly to meet regional demand. Who wins? In the short term, the U.S. retains an edge at the bleeding edge of node miniaturization. By the mid-2010s, China is poised to close the gap at 5 to 7 nanometers and dominate chip supply for AI, smartphones, and telecom hardware. 2. Artificial intelligence. United States remains a pioneer in algorithmic research. OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and leading universities publish breakthrough papers and patents at a relentless pace. China now publishes the highest volume of AI papers globally, and its tech giants, Baidu, Tencent, Alibaba, are rolling out massive AI deployments in e-commerce, urban management, and defense. Military applications. The U.S. Department of Defense funds autonomous drone swarms and AI-driven command systems. China embeds AI into border surveillance, air defense systems, and facial recognition networks for internal security. Comparative advantage. U.S. Cutting-edge innovation, vibrant startup ecosystem, global talent pool. China. Unparalleled data resources, lightning-fast deployment, strong state backing. Prediction. China will win this scale race. More data, faster rollouts. While the U.S. maintains supremacy in next-generation models, leading to a polarized yet co-competitive AI landscape. 3. 5G and telecommunications. Huawei and ZTE supply over 40% of the global 5G infrastructure market, even under U.S. sanctions limiting their access to advanced chips. The U.S. champions Ericsson and Nokia, but these vendors hold smaller shares in Asia and Africa. Coverage. China already hosts 65% of all active 5G base stations worldwide and targets 85% urban penetration by 2025. Strategic stakes. Whoever controls 5G sets the standards for autonomous vehicles, smart factories, telemedicine, and the Internet of Things. Countermeasures. The U.S. and its allies push Open RAN architectures and funding for alternative suppliers to curb Huawei's dominance. Edge. China leads in rollout speed and scale. The U.S. responds with policy, standard setting, and supply chain diversification. 4. Quantum computing and supercomputing. China isn't skimming the surface. Its goal is to lead the next computing revolution. With the Tiangong 3 supercomputer slated to surpass 1 exaflops, China is pushing the boundaries of scientific simulation and massive AI training. Meanwhile, U.S. efforts at IBM and Google prototype quorum-based systems, but face bottlenecks in stable qubit fabrication. 2025 to 2030 outlook. If Tiangong 3 and successor quantum processors come online as planned, China could secure early advantages in quantum cryptography, molecular modeling, and advanced material discovery. The U.S. will counter with public-private consortia and international partnerships, but the field will already bear China's imprint. 5. Biotech and digital health. The pandemic turbocharged health digitization, and here the rivalry is intense. China, major hospital networks leverage AI for remote diagnostics, genomic analysis, and real-time patient management. The government funds CRISPR gene editing programs aimed at next-gen therapies, and companies like BGI Genomics lead large-scale sequencing projects. United States holds the edge in biotech patents and is home to pioneering startups such as Moderna and CRISPR Therapeutics, but its fragmented healthcare system and stricter regulations slow nationwide rollouts. Advantage: China's ability to scale telemedicine pilots across hundreds of millions of urban residents creates massive, unified datasets. The U.S. drives cutting-edge clinical research, yet its decentralized model impedes rapid commercialization at scale. 6. Space race: from low Earth orbit to deep space. China has evolved from observer to NASA's direct competitor. Tiangong space station operates continuously with rotating crews every 6 months and modular labs for microgravity experiments. Lunar exploration: the Chang'e 6 mission, planned for 2026, will return samples from the Moon's South Pole, an area never visited by any other nation. The U.S. Artemis program aims to land astronauts by the mid-2020s, but congressional funding uncertainties threaten its timeline. Mars and beyond: Tianwen 2 will prospect asteroids for water and minerals, while commercial partners such as iSpace and Galactic Energy boost launch frequency. The U.S. relies on SpaceX's Starship and Blue Origin's New Glenn, but coordination across multiple private and government actors can introduce delays. 7. Digital currency and the future of finance. The digital yuan is more than a national CBDC. It's a tool of global finance strategy. China pilots cross-border payments with key partners in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe, positioning the digital yuan as a yuan alternative to the dollar. The U.S. Federal Reserve studies its own digital dollar, but proceeds cautiously amid privacy and legislative debates. Impact: whoever sets the gold standard for digital currencies will shape global trade rails. If China embeds the digital yuan within its Digital Silk Road initiative, it can deepen financial ties without resorting to tariffs or sanctions, effectively rewriting the rules of international settlements. 8. Cybersecurity and electronic warfare. In the information age, offense and defense define supremacy. China deploys AI-powered intrusion detection across its Great Cyber Firewall, filtering traffic in real time and hardening critical infrastructure. United States invests heavily in U.S. Cyber Command and NSA offensive cyber capabilities, targeting adversary networks and safeguarding its own cloud ecosystems. Gray zone: both sides execute high-profile hacks and counter-operations. The ultimate advantage rests on anticipation, rapid response, and resilience. Whoever bounces back faster wins the cyber skirmishes that often precede kinetic conflict. Who wins the tech war? Short term: 2025 to 2027 China will lead on applied fronts: 5G, smart cities, digital health, while the U.S. retains supremacy in pure research and next-gen chip nodes. Midterm: 2027 to 2030 if China overcomes advanced semiconductor hurdles and cements its quantum computing ecosystem, it could tilt the balance decisively. Long-term: post-2030 outcomes will hinge on policy choices, international alliances, and regulatory frameworks. We may see bifurcated tech blocs forming around competing standards. Global implications: developing nations face pressure to align with either U.S. or Chinese tech standards in connectivity, finance, and surveillance. Multinationals must diversify chip supply chains, hedge against regulatory decoupling, and navigate dual-track R&D partnerships. Consumers gain from accelerated innovation but confront tough choices on privacy, data security, and platform loyalties. If you want to stay ahead of how this high-stakes duel reshapes the global economy and everyday life, hit like, share, and subscribe to Global Finance 360. We bring you the sharpest insights on economy, technology, and geopolitics before anyone else. See you in the next video.